Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to another premiere draft of Amonkhet Remastered. Today I'll be first picking a Chandra Pyromaster, a powerful planeswalker in the set. 4 mana for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. I guess this actually isn't that great, to be honest. No way to really get rid of creatures. For the +1, we do 1 damage to a creature and 1 damage to its controller. We can shut off a blocker though, so it's good in an aggressive deck. She works as a draw engine with the 0 ability, and if we make it up to 10, we get to cast a bunch of instants or sorceries from our deck. Well, she's interesting. I don't know if she's the correct first pick, but it is not often you get to play a Planeswalker in Limited, so I think I'm going to go for it anyway here. I think Trial of Ambition might be better. All of the trials are quite good because you can pick up cartouches and recast them several times. But yeah, I'm going to go with a Chandra Pyromaster. Just a powerful Mythic Rare Planeswalker. Can't really go wrong with that. That being said, she might be the weakest Planeswalker in this set. I have not checked the set list. So now we have a Puncturing Blow to go with our Chandra that will definitely play if we stick to just red here. But I do think Cast Out is a better card. This is an instant speed removal spell that we can also cycle if we don't need it. Rarely are you going to cycle a Cast Out, but just in case you are very mana screwed, you can do that. I think I just like taking the Cast Out here. Being able to exile any non-land permanent is always great, and there's not a lot of main deckable enchantment hate, so it's not often that this will get blown up, so this is basically just going to be permanent removal anytime you cast it. Well, I said before how powerful the trials are, just because of the recast ability when playing cartouches, so I think I'll just take a Trial of Strength here. This might be the weakest trial. The white trial's really good if your board is wide, because it buffs the whole field, gives them vigilance. The black one's great as a removal spell, the red one's great as a removal spell, and the blue one's great card draw. This one might be the weakest, simply because a 4-2 can trade down pretty easily. You make your 4-2 and it's just going to trade to their 2 mana 2-2. But still, I think just the sheer power of repeatedly recasting cartouches cannot be understated. And, or I guess repeatedly recasting trials cannot be overstated, so I'm going to take the Trial of Strength here and do my best to pick up some cartouches in whatever colors I do end up going in. The green cartouche does happen to be really good as well. 3 mana for +1/+1 and trample, and you get to have your creature fight an opposing creature when you play that cartouche. So pretty great start here. 3 really solid cards to start off with. We are in a lot of colors here, though, which is going to be a little weird. Ooh, wow, Edifice of Authority this late is pretty great. Edifice of Authority is the kind of card that, because it's a powerful colorless card, is an incredibly high pick, at least in my opinion. It's a card that's always going to make the cut in your deck, regardless of what colors you're playing. 3 mana for an artifact. For 1 mana, you stop a creature from attacking and put a brick counter on it. After you've done that 3 times, once you have 3 brick counters on it, it basically upgrades itself into an Icy Manipulator. Then when you spend 1 mana and tap it, you're shutting off something's ability to attack, block, or use its abilities for a turn. So Edifice of Authority is a really good card that I would be happy to run in pretty much any deck. There is an Open Fire for red removal here, which is pretty great. Nice and efficient there. Gustwalker is a great aggressive creature, but again, we're just not going to take them over the powerful colorless card here, simply because we're going to play Edifice of Authority regardless of where the road takes us. And I could take an Evolving Wilds for the same reason, although Evolving Wilds definitely not as splashy or upfrontly powerful as the Edifice of Authority. There is a Watchful Naga here that is a pretty good green card in general, definitely drawing you at least 1 card, but if you're lucky or if you can clear the board, you can get multiple cards off of it. We only have 1 card in every color that we are so far. Talkrop Elite's pretty good in an aggressive deck, can buff the whole field when you attack with it, and it's evasive if you don't want to exert it. Shimmerscale Drake's great, just a solid rate for the flyer plus the ability to cycle it. A lot of the cards in this pack are quite good. To where, yeah, Shimmerscale Drake, Elite, Naga are all good picks. I think I'm just going to take Evolving Wilds. I'm going to play the really boring way at the start of this draft and just stay wide open here, because I'm not super sure what color I really want to be in over anything else. And here I can take a Desert of the Glorified, but I don't have any black cards yet. It was a little weird for the first black card for you to take to be a land, but the deserts are all great. lands that get you out of mana flood situations in the late game by letting you draw your next card instead. Hieroglyphic Illuminations are a pretty good draw spell. I think it's between Desert, the Illumination, and the Sharpshooters. Sharpshooters is just a great creature for the cost. Illumination's a great draw spell in Desert. Just mitigating flood there. I think I'll take Sharpshooters. It's the only card that we have at least one card in the same color as so far. So we might as well take that and start getting at least a moderate grasp on one of our colors here. I do think Kenra Scrapper's really good. 3 mana for a 2/3 menace, so it's difficult to block. And if your opponent has creatures that can block it well, you can exert it to make it 4 power when it attacks, which can almost definitely kill at least one of their blockers. Yeah, Kenra Scrapper's good. We already have one Evolving Wilds, but a second one wouldn't be the worst. But I think I will take Kenra Scrapper here. I think it's just a much better rate, much better stats than the Quarry Hauler is here. And I guess Feral Prowler could be good, drawing a card when it dies, but certainly not super exciting or splashy. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs is another card that's going to be decent in any deck. It's colorless, so it can go into anything, and you should be taking deserts relatively highly, so you should always have 1 or 2 in your deck to where this can sit there pinging your opponent over the course of the game. There's also a Hooded Brawler here for an aggressive green creature, or a Nimbleblade Kenra for an aggressive red creature. I kind of just like the wall here. I don't think either of those colored creatures are all that exciting, so we'll just take the more open one. I do love me a Desert Ceradon. I just like late game creatures that have a cheap way to cycle them. That way, if you draw them in your opening hand, you can always just cycle them and get something cheaper. And if you draw them late game, bam, there's a 6 mana 6/4 on the board. Smashing face. So pretty happy to take Desert Ceradon here. And I like Striped Riverwinder for the same reason, but we're definitely not in blue thus far. We could take that and do a little bit of a pivot here. Yeah, how excited am I to play Nimbleblade Kenra? Not that excited, but it is pretty good stats for the cost. I mean, a 1/3 that's potentially a little bit bigger. Pretty great for the cost. I don't know if this is correct, but I am just going to take the Nimbleblade Kenra there. That might be a position where it's okay to just take the off-color Striped Riverwinder. But I think looking at our cards, we are starting to get to the point where we're a little bit more in on a certain color pair. It's looking like we're Gruul here. Well, I don't love any of these cards, to be honest, in any of the colors. I do love me a Bitterbow Sharpshooters. I'll take plenty of those. Pouncing Sheet is okay. You can like flash it in and trade with something out of nowhere. But the fact that it only has 2 toughness means this is never going to like come in and surprise, let you just eat one of their creatures without losing one. I do like Beneath the Sands. Beneath the Sands makes splashing things possible. It helps you ramp from 3 mana on turn 3 to 5 mana on turn 4, which is really good when you've got multiple Bitterbow Sharpshooters like I do. And of course, it has that cycling, much like the deserts, to allow you to cycle it if you're mana flooded, so you're not just drawing a rampant growth off the top late game. So I like Beneath the Sands a lot there. And here, I think just green-red, just Gruul stuff here is looking good enough that now I commit a little bit to it and just grab something like an Open Fire here, a nice cheap instant speed removal spell, 3 mana for 3 damage, instant speed, solid stuff there. Ramunap Ruins is a pretty great card if we can wheel it. I don't know if it will, but if it does, we'd like to scoop it up, or the Kenra Scrapper. Either of those two are pretty solid. And then if none of that, I guess something like a Tormenting Voice, just because we're not likely to have a lot of card draw in red-green here. So just getting a little bit could be okay. But I'm pretty happy to take the removal spell there. Well, we've got Evolving Wilds and Beneath the Sands. That is a start to splashing in Anissa. And if I get to play a deck with 2 Planeswalkers, not only 2 Planeswalkers, but the Gruul friends themselves, I'm going to do it. It might be correct to take probably Crocodile of the Crossing here. Just a nice, hasty on-color creature. At worst, it's a 4 mana 4/3 haste, which is absurd. This card's actually really brutal. And Naga Vitalice is really good too. That being said, I've got a Chandra. How can I not draft the Gruul friends themselves? Chandra, Nissa, the dream team. And Nissa is, in my opinion, more powerful than Chandra is. You can play her for only 3 mana as a 1 loyalty walker if you have some creatures out to block with. That's not a bad idea. And you can +2 to scry 2, so she gets up in loyalty really quickly. Plus the 0 mana ability at least lets you draw a card every time you use it, and you can slam a land out. Or no, it doesn't let you draw it, only lets you put it on the battlefield. Okay, so basically you look at the top, if it's a land, you plop it onto the field. Yeah, Nissa seems just really good in general. So great white aggressive card here, the Glorybound Initiate, but I'm not going to be so bold as to go 4 colors, especially trying to splash in a 2-drop here. So kind of like taking more defensive cards now that I'm a deck with 2 Planeswalkers in it, something like Puncturing Blow, but I can also see a big argument for Oasis Ritualist, giving us more mana fixing. So between Puncturing Blow and Oasis Ritualist, I like both of those a whole lot here. Really close between the two. If we were like aggressive though, Stalwart would be a big option, but again, double Planeswalker and an Edifice and stuff doesn't look like we're going to be that aggressive here. I'm just going to take the Ritualist, get our mana very in order here. And with multiple Planeswalkers, card draw actually goes up in value a bit because now we're just trying to dig to our more powerful cards in the deck. So Tormenting Voice might be an option here, although the 2-drop creatures are pretty good. Neheb is in this pack still? I wonder what people are drafting. Maybe everybody's drafting what I'm drafting. and so there's just going to be great cards in every other color here. Yeah, I think all of these are pretty solid 2-drop creatures, all 3 of them. And Tormenting Voices tend to go late, so hopefully if we do need those Tormenting Voices for card draw, we can pick those up later. And just having a lot of cycling cards helps hit a bunch of Planeswalkers more often as well, because we just sift through our cards to get to them. So a Desert Ceradon's a lot of fun here, as is a Defiant Greatmaw. In green-red, we're not going to have a lot of ways to play around with the -1/-1 counters, but green and black both have a lot of creatures that put -1/-1 counters on themselves, or other creatures you control. And they also have ways to remove those counters. So a dedicated green-black deck is going to take Defiant Greatmaw much more highly than I will here, to where we might take like a Greatmaw over something like a big black cycling creature, like if there's Desert Ceradon was a black card there. So I did want to mention that uncommon. I think it is a good uncommon, just not for our deck. And I'm easily taking a Cartouche of Strength here to go with our Trial of Strength. When you have a trial, you got to take Cartouches pretty highly, and this is already a pretty great card. And yeah, pretty happy with that. Well, I guess we could splash in white with a Scattered Groves, and that's also just a rare draft there. I only have one of them. Could take that for collection purposes. That being said, I don't have any white cards yet. I'm already splashing in blue. It is almost definitely not going to be something I want to do. Like, I almost definitely don't want to splash white, so just an Entangler or Tormenting Voice here. I think I take a Tormenting Voice. I like the more defensive 2-drops for this deck, like Kenra and Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs now. That being said, when the 2 options here are Shed Weakness and Firebrand Archer, we'll take an aggressive 2-drop there. Another Kenra Scrapper is awesome. Actually a difficult choice between the Tormenting Voice and Kenra Scrapper. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs is good for us too. I guess we don't have any deserts yet. If we have like no deserts in our deck, then Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs goes down a lot in value, unfortunately. Yeah, we're pretty low on creatures, and Kenra Scrapper is just a really good 3-mana creature, so I'm going to scoop that up there. And as I said, these Tormenting Voices are going really late. That being said, we've got a ramp creature here. Don't think I'll pass up a ramp creature for Tormenting Voice. Like, Tormenting Voice is card draw, but it's not good card draw. It just happens to be basically the only card draw you can get in green-red. So I'm pretty okay on passing him up for a while. So Stalwart, I think, is better than Kenra, but Kenra blocks a little better. I guess I will take the Stalwart. And now we have a lot going on at 2 mana. We have enough that I think I can take another Tormenting Voice. We have 6 2-mana creatures, so I'll just scoop up a Tormenting Voice here. I guess if I take another Firebrand Archer, we can get pretty aggressive here. And try to just be green-red aggro. Our curve is not how I imagined it at all. I'm going to be completely honest here. Once I picked up Nissa and like a Ritualist and stuff, I'm like, all right, let's just ramp into some big stuff, and then we just got a stack of 2 and 3-mana creatures here, so not going exactly as planned, but still going well. Majestic Miriarch is a mythic rare. Is it a powerful enough mythic rare? Power toughness equal to twice the creatures by itself. It's a 2/2. Any more, it turns into a 4/4 or 6/6. It gets flying, first strike, death touch, trample, all that stuff. So if we have anything with types, we've got, okay, so trample, or anything with abilities, then it's good. We have trample, we have menace. We can try it out. We definitely want to curve out with a lot of creatures in our deck for Miriarch. So if we take Miriarch here, we need to start taking creatures more highly than I have been. I think I will here. It's another mythic rare. We'll just go with the triple mythic deck. That seems fair. Again, we're not taking deserts particularly highly. I'm probably not taking them as highly as I should be. And have not seen a boatload of them, so I think people in this draft pod are definitely respecting the value of the deserts. So I don't think Sidewinder Naga is going to do a lot for us. I think Hooded Brawler's probably just better, because we don't need any specific cards or card types to pair with it well. Alright, really good rare here, and I will take that over the Ramp Dork. Earthshaker Kenra. Super great cube card, super great mono red aggro card, and certainly a super fine card for this deck. 2 mana for a 2/1 haste, shuts off a blocker when you play it, and then for 6 mana you can eternalize it as a 4/4 haste that shuts off a blocker the turn you play that. Just a really good card, even if it isn't the perfect combo exactly with what we're doing. We're starting to turn into a much more aggressive deck than I had anticipated. And if we get the green rare eternalized Kenra, then yeah. We're just green-red aggro. We're going to have to build a deck with a really good curve of 2 and 3 drop creatures. Try to spam those creatures out on curve well, and then remove anything they play to block them. Kenra Charioteer's really nice, but I doubt that'll wheel. And Kenra's just so powerful here with that Eternalize being able to come back as a 4/4 for 6. We can't pass up on that. So now we do have a Desert of the Fervent, but we also have a Ritualist and a Vitalist. I don't know if I'm going to have room for Vitalists for 2 mana creatures when I'm starting to just get a bunch of great aggressive 2-drops. So I'm not sure about the Vitalist. But between Ritualist and Desert of the Fervent, honestly, we don't have a boatload going on late game. Probably not going to get too much more. I'm just going to slam down a Desert. Might not be correct with Nissa in the deck, but we have Evolving Wilds, Beneath the Sands, and Ritualist already to grab the blue source. We'll definitely see how it pans out, but I think it should be fine. Take an Ornery Kudu here, I guess. This is a 3 mana 2/3 by itself, and if we happen to play something like a Naga Vitalist beforehand, something that already isn't going to attack, we can just put the -1/-1 counter on that. That way this is a 3 mana 3/4, and any curve where that happens is going to be great. Alright, well, I have realized I have no idea how to read draft pods in this format, because I thought red and green were particularly well drafted here, but now I'm seeing, Kenra Scrapper still here, Kenra Charioteer still here, and just a lot of cards in red and green in general in this pack, so maybe I just have no idea to draft period, but especially to read what colors people are trying to draft here. Are we getting to the point where we don't want to splash in a Nissa? We're just such an aggressive red-green deck that we just like curve out 2-drop, 3-drop into Pyromaster? We might be. I'll take a look at it during deck building, but I don't think I'm going to use another Beneath the Sands at this point. Like, we don't want to spend our turn 3 just grabbing another land when we can spend our turn 3 playing like a great aggressive creature like a Scrapper or a Charioteer or a 4/2 Trial of Strength. Take another Desert here, I guess. Although Gilded Ceradon's kind of nice late game if you have deserts. I don't think we have enough deserts to justify it until we take a second desert. Brute Strength could be good for this deck. The fact that it only gives +1 toughness is a little rough, because that's not going to save your creature super often. But I don't think we're playing Sidewinder Naga. We've got a lot better 3-drop creatures, a lot of creatures in general, so we'll take a Brute Strength. We're definitely not playing the Brute Force to blow up artifacts. That's just a huge rarity. I guess we could take Stinging Shot to be safe against flyers and cycle it if we're not against them, but I'll take a Naga Vitalist here even if I don't know if I'm playing it. It gives me the option. And I don't like these 3-drops, just 3/2s, just the low toughness is not super exciting to me. I'll just take it Insider, but not sure if I'll play that. Well, I'll just play 5,000 Vitalists, I guess. I guess I could play a Cultivator to grab a blue source. I don't really want to do either of those things, but I probably should have taken Cultivator so it gives me another option for splashing in Nissa if we go down that route. I'm not sure we are, though. So 10 cards to cut here. Wow. Yeah, we're just like a straight up beat 'em up aggressive red-green deck. We always drop a 2-drop into a 3-drop, and then when we get to 5 mana, we just start slamming down Sharpshooters and Ceradons. So we don't even really want Ritualist and stuff. We just don't want Ramp in this deck because we're just going to curve out 2 mana and 3 mana creatures until we make it to 5. So I might even just cut all the Vitalists, cut the Ritualist, cut the Nissa, cut Beneath the Sands. Maybe even the Tormenting Voices here because we're just slamming creatures out. Not really thinking about our future turns, like future card draw or anything out. We're just curving things. Take the Kenra out, and now all of our 2-drops have at least 2 power. A lot of them have exert abilities to get even bigger. Don't know how good this Bloodlust Insider is. This might be the cut here. Yeah, we have 18 creatures. I think I just cut 1 creature here. We have 2 Ceradons to cycle for 1, but I think that's all the cycling in the deck. I don't know if that's enough cycling to want to cut down to 16 lands in this deck, because we do have some 5-drops. We're not like the most incredibly low curve in the universe. We could also just cut Brute Strength here. Yeah, I generally don't know how good that's going to be. The fact that it only adds 1 toughness is such a bummer. We've really been spoiled lately in our limited formats where the aggressive cards like this are cards like Run Amok that are +3/+3 trample that are brutal just because of the fact that that additional toughness makes it so your creature almost always just beats whatever blocked it. Brute Strength, I feel like, isn't going to do that all the time. Like, our opponent could play... Let's say we're on the play and we play a 2/2 turn 2, and then they play a 3/1, and then I attack in. Like, if they just block with a 3/1, we don't beat it with a Brute Strength. Whereas a lot of the modern pump spells will beat it. Just a full +3/+3 now. Yeah, I think I will cut the Brute Strength and try out the Insider. I don't know how strong this card is. It's probably not great. But the theoretical curves with it are always good. You know, where now the Kenra Charioteer is just going to attack the turn it comes in, so it helps sneak in more damage. Just by letting every creature you play attack the turn you play it instead of just constantly attacking with your 1/1. But it's definitely probably not great. I could definitely even see the argument for cutting an Insider, cutting something else, throwing back in Beneath the Sands. Then we go like Ritualist, Beneath the Sands, Nissa. If we go for the blue splash, those are the 3 cards we need for it, in my opinion. So if we go for the blue splash here, like, what do we cut? Like, I want to take a look at it. I feel like it isn't correct because of how consistently we can play a 2-mana creature into a 3-mana creature, and just how good in general some of our 2 and 3-mana creatures are. I think we just have a pretty great time if we're just curving out well and applying pressure on the board. Like, we don't curve out on 4, that's true. I mean, we go 2-drop, 3-drop, and then maybe double 2-drop turn 4 or something like that. So it's not the perfect curve ever. The perfect curve, of course, is 2-mana card turn 2, 3-mana card turn 3, 4-mana card turn 4, and so on. This might be a little memey, but I really, really, really do like the idea of having Nissa and Chandra in the same deck here. To the point where I can accept that I might be making my deck actively worse by doing this, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. That's something I want to do, and I guess I can cut a little bit of the 2-drops if we're adding a lot of late game power. Now we don't need to spam out creatures as much. So I'm feeling like the Firebrand Archers might be the weakest 2-drop. Maybe the Entangler. I feel like the Stalwart's definitely better than Entangler. These 2 Kenras are fantastic. We're definitely not cutting those. At 3 mana, Hooded Brawler seems like maybe our weakest 3 mana card, but it might be the Ornery Kudu because we don't have anything to combo with the Ornery Kudu. So this is just a 3 mana 2/3. I in general like a 3 mana 2/3 better than a 3 mana 3/2, but our 3 mana 3/2 has a good ability, and this 3 mana 2/3 has essentially no ability. This is like a 3 mana 2/3 that if our opponent ever has like pacified one of our creatures, I guess we get to play it as a 3 mana 3/4 instead, but I feel like that's a rarity in this deck. So I could see cut 1 Kudu, 1 Bloodlust Insider, and then one of these 3 cards. And that's how we splash in the blue here. 4 2-mana cards even without the archers, so cutting 1 archer would be 5 2-mana cards. We also have 5 3-mana cards with the Hooded Brawler here. Yeah, you know, let's cut the Hooded Brawler, keep the archers in. The archers do seem fine to me, since now we're playing a version of our deck with a little more non-creatures than before. I guess 7 non-creatures, that's not a mountain of them. That's not a lot of damage that the Firebrand Archer is doing. Nissa is such a late-game card, being an X-mana Planeswalker that benefits with spending as much loyalty into her as possible, that I think we are okay to cut an island, go down to 1 blue source. 1 island, 1 Evolving Wilds and Beneath the Sands that can grab the island, and 1 Ritualist that can tap for blue. In which case, 12 red cards, 11 green. Right now we have 7 red and 7 green. So we have exactly even on the 2 colors. I think I want to put another green source in. I don't know if it's correct. My reasoning behind wanting to put another green source in is because I have Beneath the Sands and Oasis Ritualist that can grab a different color if we have green mana. But we also have to think, like, if we don't get a color other than green until turn 3 or turn 4, we're in a pretty bad spot there. And with red, like, we have the early red drops we really want to play. 3 of them on turn, or 4 of them on turn 2, 3 of them on turn 3. Plus we have our 1-mana cyclers require red mana to cycle them. So like that's a way that we could potentially get green mana, is if we're cycling these cards early on. That lets us draw more cards, see more lands out of our deck to try to get to the green mana. So yeah, I think I'll add in a mountain just because our red cards are a bit cheaper, a bit lower to the ground. And sure, our green can pull out whatever color we need, but it can't do it until a little later in the game, past the time that we would have ideally cast pretty much any of our red cards anyway. I guess red's the only color that we have a double red card in, but Chandra's also like a Planeswalker, so we can hold off on her like with Nissa. So I don't think that having a double red card super factors into me putting in another mountain over the forest, but I am still going to put another mountain over the forest for the other reasons that I mentioned. All right, so again, not sure that this is the strongest possible build. It's possible that just the most consistent deck is better, not dirtling around with mana at any times, not spending a turn just to grab a land, or just to play a 2/4 instead of a better creature. But by playing this build, we get Chandra and Nissa together, which is just incredible. We got to go with Gruul Friends here. It is the coolest deck, I think, that I'll have drafted in this format by the time it leaves. I highly doubt I'll be able to play a 2 Planeswalker deck again. Even in Limited in general for quite some time. I guess until Cube Draft, of course, but not in a regular draft format. We're also playing a 3 Mythic Rare deck. That could definitely be quite annoying to play. Quite annoying to face up against. Well, I'll keep this hand. It's not perfect. We're not curving out like a madman. We're just playing a 2/1 and then an Edifice, but the Edifice is a pretty strong card. The Ceradon can cycle if we don't make it to 6 mana here. Definitely an argument for just cycling that really aggressively. I still don't have a good feel for when I should be cycling or holding the cycling cards, because it's been quite a while since I've played with cycling. I believe the last format that had a ton of cycling was Ikoria, and that has been a while. And Cycling Ikoria didn't play like Cycling usually plays. Cycling Ikoria was like just always cycle that one generic mana stuff, because you have a bunch of cards that just damage your opponent or gain you life when you're cycling stuff. Well, Firebrand Archer's not great against this 1/1. We do have a Beneath the Sands, so now we know we're going to have 5 mana total with this hand. At the very least, that gets us pretty close to dropping the 6/4 down. You know, I'm partial to a 6 mana 6/4. I've cast a good Craw Worm in my time. Is it worth just trading with Festering Mummy? Probably not. They're really likely to play like a 2/2. In which case, just holding off here will start stopping 2 damage every turn. Maybe it's just a stack of mummies. Do I want to play an Edifice here? No. Let's just grab an island here. We don't have any cards in the deck that require double green. And I don't think I'll ever need to cast 2 green spells in one turn, because I don't have any green spells in hand, so if I draw any green cards, I can just play them the turn I cast them. And you know what I just realized here? I forgot to put my Hour of Devastation lands on, and I need to do that. We need the flavorful lands for today's draft. That is always a good omen. At what point do we accept that we're going to trade with a 1/1? It's probably at this point, once they play a 3/3 that our 2/1 can't trade up into. Yeah, that being said, we just play a 4/2 now. That seems fine. Play a 6/4 next turn. I guess all things considered, our Firebrand Archer did manage to do 1 damage to our opponent since we waited that long until we hit a Trial of Strength. Probably have removal for our 4/2 here. They are eyeballing that vast open mouth of our beast. Wow, that is a freaky beast. That is like a lion body or a tiger body? I think it's a lion's body and then like a crocodile's head. It's either a lion or a tiger and then either an alligator or a crocodile. That's all I know. It's one of those 4 things combined. I guess 2 of those 4 things combined. What have you, opponent? So our opponent is the classic black-white game plan in this, or archetype, I should say, in this set, which is just like black-white zombies. We see 3 zombies from our opponent here at this point. So they're very likely to have some of the build-around zombie tribal cards. There's a 2-mana zombie that'll drain life whenever you play a zombie. A 2-mana zombie that'll tap a creature down whenever you play a zombie. And there's like a 3-mana zombie that gives all your zombies a +1/+1. Trade with a 3/3 here and keep taking 2. Alright, so I believe pretty much objectively I should have traded for a Festering Mummy a century ago, because when we have a 1 toughness creature out, it doesn't matter what kills the Festering Mummy. The Mummy's going to put a -1/-1 counter on our Archer. That being said, like, oh. Well, now it might not be. I really did not expect the attack with the Wasteland Scorpion. Alright, well, impeccable timing to kill the Ceradon is rough, but we did actually get to kill a card with our 2/1 by holding it that long, which I really wasn't expecting to happen. I was just extremely not expecting the attack with the 2/2 Death Touch there. That attack helps me a lot. Because otherwise our 2/1's just sitting there accomplishing nothing as the game proceeds. If Near Deadlands is a fantastic desert. They get to sacrifice it to put 2 -1/-1 counters on one of my creatures, so they make it a 2/2, so it would trade either way. If they exert Gustwalker, it would die. I'm going to go ahead and just take the trade here, because I don't have anything to remove those counters. So we'll kill that Gustwalker before they start exerting it and hitting me with flying. And we'll cycle a desert here and see what we draw. I'm at 13 life, only taking 1 damage a turn. Oasis Ritualist stops all that damage right there. I have some really powerful late game cards that I can top deck, so I'm feeling pretty good here. Mainly just because I've got a Nissa chilling in my deck, waiting for the opportune moment. But for now, we just keep passing. I guess I could start attacking, because I'll do 2 damage to them every turn. They'll do 1 to me. Actually, no. Yeah, I should have attacked last turn, because I do have Edifice to stop that from attacking. Ooh, Chandra. I can clear out their creature, but then they put a counter on the Ritualist. I guess they put a counter on Ritualist either way. Let's attack in, and if they don't block, we'll kill the Mummy. I like that better than exiling the top card of my library, because if I exile the top card of my library and I don't have the mana to cast it, that's going to be brutal. Like if I exile the top card and then it's one of my 5-drop cards, that'll be a very sad world, and I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in the maximum value world. I am a greedy player. But now we're in an exceptional position unless they have something that can just blow up a Planeswalker immediately. Chandra's just going to keep giving us value. We have an Edifice that's going to make it to level 3. We're incredibly safe here. We're just going to keep drawing gas by drawing 2 cards a turn. Open Fire, 3 damage to something. Attack both. If they block, we kill it. If they don't block, we just do 3 damage to their face. Because this is going to just stay exiled if we don't cast it now, so we might as well. Here's the Charioteer. Alright. Edifice has made it to 3 brick counters. We can stop all their blocks now. We could, of course, also just do 1 damage to Wall of Pharaohs to stop them from blocking. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We don't quite lethal, so I'm just going to draw a card again. Sure, play Evolving Wilds here. Which means we can just Edifice to stop the block here. Instead of the +1. Impeccable Timing kills the Charioteer. We hit for 3 then. Crack and grab a land to get that auto pass going. Alright, well, Chandra's +1 plus Edifice of Authority is going to stop all the blocks here. And it seems really good to me. I don't know if it quite hits lethal, but we have a 6-mana card to play here. It's definitely the right play. It actually does hit lethal. We hit for... well, no. It's 1 damage off from lethal, but opponent is going to scoop them up here, which is... fair enough. Chandra definitely taking over that game. A fantastic top deck there, giving us a card draw engine to draw 2 cards a turn and keep things rolling from that point on. All right. Game 2. We do have 3 mana to make it to Beneath the Sands, which means we make it to 4 mana. We have a 2-drop. We've got an Open Fire. Hand seems pretty great to me. With Evolving Wilds and Beneath the Sands here, we can get all the mana we need. We also have a second mountain in hand, so I'm just going to grab a green source here so that I have a green source that I can use without paying a life. And then I'll use Beneath the Sands to grab a blue source for Nissa, and of course just for getting to 6 mana. Well, do I want to play Stalwart before, or Firebrand Archer before? Or I guess first, not before. I forgot to swap my lands. I still don't have those Hour of Devastation beauties out on the board here. Against a red deck, I feel like if they play a creature, it's going to be something I'm okay trading with, and if I'm not, I can just Open Fire it. So let's play the Archer first, so that I can potentially just Beneath the Sands and start ramping up mana if I want to, while still damaging our opponent. This way, like, I have the option between casting a creature or a non-creature spell next turn, and I still get the maximum value from doing so, because I get the 1 damage bonus for doing the non-creature thing. So we're playing against blue and red, and there's the Enigma Drake. Well, I don't think that killing the Enigma Drake is worth a 2-for-1, sacrificing Firebrand Archer and Open Fire, but it might be, because it can get quite big later, and it's also flying, which I will not have good blocks for. So I guess we just play land for turn, attack in. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's flying and it's just going to get bigger means I will offer the trade. And do I just stay aggressive here? Or do I try to ramp up to that Ceradon? If I hit a land with Beneath the Sands, I'm just going to be at 5 mana next turn after I play land for turn, so I don't get to cast Ceradon next turn anyway. So I don't see a huge point in ramping, although if I ramp, I can play a 3-drop and a 2-drop in the same turn. I could play Scrapper and Stalwart, or Stalwart and Open Fire. I think I just want to play Scrapper here, though. Get a nice, powerful Menace creature out. Curve out the creatures, so I can get that damage in next turn rather than 2 turns from now. Anger of the Gods, the 2-for-1. Pretty brutal. Yeah, now I'm not really getting in at all. I guess I just ramp up here so I know I get to cast Ceradon next turn. The other option is to play a single 2-2. I think that's definitely worse here. Yeah, Anger of the Gods was pretty good here. Of course, with a 4 toughness creature on board, it's just a one-sided wrath there. I'm not going to cast Chandra here, because they are blue-red spells. They have an Enigma Drake that cares about instants and sorceries engraved. They have Tormenting Voice that's like discard a card, draw cards. And they discarded a black card, by the way, so I guess they're 3-color. But I'd expect a lot of instants and sorceries from them, so I'm going to play Desert Ceradon here in case of like counter spells. They just counter like the 6/4 instead of the gold Planeswalker. Plus, if I play the Planeswalker, they can just start killing it with the Enigma Drake. Like, she doesn't do anything to kill that. And, yeah, I guess she does with Open Fire. If we have 7 mana, we can kill that on the spot. And they only have 1 mana up here. Alright, yeah, I'm glad I held off for a turn, because that meant that the counterspell was drawn out by the Ceradon. And now I get to cast her and clear their board. If they don't play a haste creature, we can start using her to draw cards now. So Chandra actually did help kill a creature there just because we needed 4 damage instead of the 3 that we had in hand. So yeah, I was going to say her +1 ability only doing 1 damage. That doesn't generally kill creatures, but it does stack up well with an Open Fire. So maybe they're stuck on a black mana here, and they just don't have anything to put on the board. That would be really good for us if we can just sit here with an unchecked Chandra. That'll be very helpful. So strategic planning, put a couple red cards in the grave to grab the black source. So yeah, they are stuck on the black mana here, but they get it now. They go ahead and play a Pitiless Vizier. They're going to need some mana to cycle something to give it indestructible, but they will have that next turn. We don't have any way to kill it. I think we just draw a card with Chandra. Just hit a land here. We'll go ahead and play some creatures so we have blockers to protect Chandra. But our plan is just going to draw 2, draw 2 every turn and make up for lost card advantage by getting 2-for-1 earlier. Ooh, Neheb, all of their Minotaurs have first strike now. So basically, we'll never win at combat against their Minotaurs. Any blocks we make are going to be firmly chump blocks. And we can't even attack in well because their stuff's first strike and we only have 2 toughness. I'm just going to go for the chump blocks here. Like, it's not like we're attacking them. All we can really do is protect Chandra here and hope to draw something crazy. I guess just creatures that are big enough to block well here, which I don't know if we have anything big enough to block a 4/2 first strike, if I'm being honest here. I guess we can pick up a Cartouche of Strength And that could kill Neheb. So our opponent put a stop during our upkeep there. To throw Chandra back into the deck? Okay, well. Now they get to just cast Memory, and then she's shuffled in. I guess if they cast Memory, though, we both draw 7 cards, so then I just have plenty of other stuff to play. Miriarch is not actually that good here. It's just going to be a 4/4. So, I mean, we can block Neheb then, but the first strike's just... First strike's just too much for us, I think. Our creatures definitely lose at combat here. And if they go down to 1 or fewer cards in hand, they can just get past the Miriarch anyway. Looks like they just have the removal for it. Trespasser's Curse. Alright, well. I'll make sure not to play any more creatures then, I guess. Take 10 or chump block 6 damage. Well, when they deal combat damage to a player, each player discards a card. I want Neheb to hit me, make them discard their last card in hand. Do I want to chump block 6 with our 4/2 or just hold on to it? If I don't chump block right now, I go to 2 life, and then I'm just like definitely dead next turn, but I'm also definitely dead if I have no blockers. I don't think it really matters, but I'm going to chump block the 6 damage. I think we're dead regardless here. They are forced to discard an actual card there, which is nice. And that is going to be the game for us. Alright, so 1-1 to start this draft off. I am going to be reminded there, though, by losing the game, that I've got a bad omen going on right now, and that bad omen is that I didn't put my good omen in. We didn't put in our Hour of Devastation lands. That is a requirement, if you have them, for Amonkhet drafting. Just keep the lands flavorful. Keep the lands on theme. Alright, let's get these Dungeons and Dragons lands out of here. Alright. Well, we've drawn Chandra in both games, which is pretty cool. Have not seen Nissa yet, though. Would be excited to play her. I still have my fingers crossed that we get to cast both in one game. That's just going to be an experience if it happens. That's my main goal here. Oof, number 177 Mythic, alright. Some fierce competition this round. Well, we got both colors. We curve out with a 2-drop and then have a removal spell. I guess that's not curving out, it's just a 2-drop into a removal spell. But seems like a decent enough start when we have both of our main colors. And now we're curving out. Now we have a great 2-drop into a great 3-drop, both of which exert quite well. Playing against green-black, and they start with a Feral Prowler. When that dies, they get to draw a card, but I'd rather play the 4/2 or the 2/3 Menace. I think I would rather play the 4/2 here. Just in case I hit Cartouche of Strength, that way I could cast that as quickly as possible if I wish to. And I also have an Open Fire to keep the board clear to get that 4 damage in. If they play anything that'll block it well. Ooh, Ifnir Deadlands. Fantastic land there. Again, that is the land they can sacrifice to throw 2 -1/-1 counters onto something. Alright, well that Feral Prowler is going to take the -1/-1 counters. One of the best things you can do with the Feral Prowler, of course. If you've got the -1/-1 counter synergies. It's a pretty good card to just dump -1/-1s onto. So that's just a 4/5 then. It's actually really hard to deal with. I have to 2-for-1 myself with an Open Fire to deal with it. If I want to do that, I don't think I do. I think I just want to play a Scrapper then. And we'll just crack back if they attack us. Not really getting aggressive anymore, which is rough. Playing against green, black, and red. Cartouche of Ambition. That is a really spicy one. Now that is just a massive life-linking hippo that can outrace us if it just keeps attacking any turn. It also blocks incredibly well. And they do decide to hold back for blocks here. Actually, happy with that. I'd be pretty scared if they start attacking me. Cartouche of Strength as well. Ooh, that is a stack of a hippo right there. An absolute unit. Trample and lifelink 6/7. Just gonna get absolutely handled by this Defiant Great Maw. Yeah, I guess I try to 2-for-1 myself here. I don't want to block with any more creatures, because then I'm not like 2-for-1ing myself, I'm like 3-for-1ing myself, and it could still go wrong. Because if I block with all 3, like they could just kill all 3, they have 6 power. Yeah, I don't love the idea of 2-for-1ing myself when it could all just go super wrong. But I don't think that not blocking is going to go well here. Nor is a triple block. Splendid Agony to play around the open fire. Good play from the opponent. Yeah, we're just incredibly dead here, I think. I guess we can hit for 2 there, because we're not really blocking, so we might as well, but in the grand scheme of things, it's hitting for 2, and then they're gaining 6. It's unlikely to matter, but I should be trying to play my best just in case, on the incredible off chance that we somehow get out of them having 4 more cards than us and a 6/7 trample lifelinker. I just don't think that that is going to happen. Kenner comes back as a 4/4, if nothing else. Chump blocks well here. I maybe shouldn't have open fired the 3/2. But the idea there was that I'd have all my mana open for whatever I draw here, so if I draw like a Nissa, I can cast it for maximum X. And I guess I could do that anyway and just hold on to the open fire. But the fact that if I didn't just like open fire there, I would then be facing against a 6/7 and a 5/4 when it exerts. Like I'm just really getting beaten up. If I sit here and wait for a way to 3-for-1 myself to the Defiant Great Maw. But at the same time, if I'm not 3-for-1ing myself for the Great Maw, how am I even dealing with it? And the answer is I think I'm just not. So I did that chump block there because I stop a little bit of damage. Sure, it's got trample, but I stop a tiny bit of damage, and now I get to play a 4/4 that can block here and stop all but 2 of the damage. So now I just take 2, go down to 2 life. You know, Kenra lets me survive 2 more attacks, but I mean, there's nothing in my whole deck that's getting out of this one, I think. We have a 4/4 and a 2/3 to block. We can't double block and kill that. Even if we could, we just die to the Amonkhet. We can make blocks that survive 1 more turn, so I guess I will play it out here. But the double cartouche on the Great Maw. It's just going to be too good against a green or red deck here, because green-red decks just don't have access to any removal that isn't damage-based. And no damage-based removal is going to stack into 7 damage easily. If we were playing like a black or white deck here and we had just, you know, destroy target creature, it's possible we'd still be in this game, but our opponent just has the absolute beats, the absolute unit of a Defiant Great Maw. So 1 and 2 here. And this draft may be the draft where we kind of show off that it's not all about great rares. You're going to have a 3 mythic rare deck and have a poor record. This will be the worst draft record that I've had in this format if I won 3 here. Had some really nice drafts in the last couple drafts I did, if you want to check those out. The Premier Draft number 3 and number 4 were both recorded in this return to the Amonkhet Premier Drafts. And they were both pretty nice. Pretty nice drafts all around. Okay. Well, I don't think I can keep this, because we can't even cycle these cards. We need the red to cycle them. So we can't guarantee we're doing anything, I guess, at all with this hand. But even if we hit lands till turn 4... yeah. Hand's really doing very little. This hand is better. I kind of like getting rid of the Archer. Just being 1 toughness has been a pretty major downside in this format with the -1/-1 counters running around. Cards like Splendid Agony and Festering Mummy. All of that stuff is just very good against 1 toughness creatures. Definitely something that would certainly change about my pick order going forward would be to just really try not to pick up anything with 1 toughness. Unless it's like really good, like a Resilient Kenra, or Earthshaker Kenra. That's the one that has 1 toughness. So our opponent does start with Oketra's Avenger, which is going to be really nice here. They can exert it anytime they attack, so it can't be dealt damage when it's attacking us. So it only attacks us once every other turn, but every time it attacks us, it just has immunity. All we can do is chump block it, and our creature will be dealt damage, even if theirs isn't. So double Oketra's Avenger is quite the start from our opponent. That is not what we want to see at all, and a Cartouche of Strength just isn't gonna help us here, because we'll still just 1-for-1 trade our 2/2 into the... well, we'll 2-for-1 trade. We trade our 2/2 and our Cartouche for their 3/1. We need a creature big enough to survive after we Cartouche it, so I think we play Scrapper here. We could play Edifice as well, but that's going to tie up 1 of our mana every turn we use it to stop an Avenger. So I think I'd rather play Scrapper and hope to play Cartouche next turn. That way I can kill 1 of the Avengers. I can kill 1 of the Avengers with the Cartouche of Strength. And I'm not going to attack with Stalwart, because I feel like if I attack with Stalwart, they might not exert here, and I would like to force them into the exert. Because I think a trade of Oketra's Avenger into the Kenra Scrapper is not that bad for them. Alright, well, what do I do here? Do I play Edifice and just start holding the Elite off, or do I just kill the Elite with Cartouche and then start holding the Avengers off? I think I kill the Elite with Cartouche, because once Scrapper's a 3/4... yeah, when the Scrapper's a 3/4, it's going to block the Avengers all day long, even if they prevent damage. So, attack with Stalwart here. Any trade they want to make, I'm happy with. They don't want to make any trades. And now we just cast the Cartouche. So we have a 3/4 big enough to block the Avengers well. And we can kill Talkrop Elite. Turns out the Avengers are quite weak. They can just get stopped by a 3/4. I don't know why Loki was worried about him. Oketra's Attendant. That is an issue and a half. I suppose it's not that bad when we have a 4/4 reach. 4/4 reach definitely bigger than a 3/3 flyer. That seems like a plan. 4/4 reach, we just sit here and block that all day long. I could exert the Stalwart, and then it just trades with an Avenger. Because at this point, our creatures are big enough, they know these Avengers aren't doing much for them. Yeah, attacking with the Stalwart isn't really going to trade with the Attendant here. They're just not going to block with the Attendant. They'll block with one of the smaller creatures. Well then. Is this +1/+1 to the whole field, +2/+1 to zombies? I think it is. I mean, it's a 2-for-1 trade for the Attendant. It's not like I have any like reaction to that. I guess I could just let them hit us for 12 if they give the field +1/+1. We can survive 12 damage, and then we can crack back pretty well, and these are both just tapped out. You know what? Yeah, they straight up have +1/+1 to the whole field in hand. We can survive through that, and then we can just crack back well. Oh my god, okay, never mind. Never mind, that's even worse, but I'm actually even more glad I didn't block with the sharpshooters if they had that. Yeah, that's devastating. Yeah, if I blocked with sharpshooters, I was really in for it then. Then I wouldn't trade with the attendant. The attendant would just eat my sharpshooters. That is a really good combo with exert creatures, though. So now we can just shut off the attendant from attacking each turn, I guess. So even if they have another, well, there goes my Kenra Scrapper, I guess. I can't stop it from fighting something, but that does give us a very clear target of what to use our edifice on. Because before, it's like, it's just as much damage as an Avenger would be, and neither the Avengers or the attendant can get in unless they have a combat trick. So it might have been better to hit Avengers if the attendant wasn't a big old 4/4. But now that it's a 4/4, we just keep hitting its. That being said, they can attack with both Avengers and exert them, and then they get in with one of them every turn, even if they don't have a combat trick. Well, every other turn, not every turn. I'm just going to kill an Exemplar. I guess that's fair. Because otherwise it's only going to attack as a 2/2, then they'll just have 2 2/2s out, which can definitely die to like 4/4s and 2/3s that they know I have. Alright, so our opponent actually does have good attacks, because they can just attack and exert the Avengers. Especially, oh dear. Alright, well I think we might be 1-3 here. I was going to say, especially if they use the Desert of the True. Give the field... Oh wait, no, that's the wrong desert. Forget I said anything. I thought that was the uncommon one that would buff the field. But yeah, they have good attacks regardless because the Avengers can just attack in freely without taking damage. Even if we still had the sharpshooters around, by exerting the Avengers, sure, one of them bounces off the sharpshooters, but the other one's going to eat one of our creatures without dying or hit our face. I'm surprised they didn't exert the Avengers. I'm actually pretty happy about that. So I actually get to kill one of them and then gain some life. That being said, I do have to top deck a creature. I guess I could just kill both and gain some life. I have to top deck a way to deal with the Exemplar here. Yeah, I have to top deck a way to deal with something regardless. I guess if I draw an open fire, then it's better. It's better to do this the other way. Is it better to do this the other way? Because if I draw an open fire, like if I do this the other way and just block Exemplar, I'm still losing all my creatures, no matter how I block here. Yeah, I feel like this is better because no matter what way I block here, if I want to survive, I'm losing all my creatures. Charioteer, not quite going to do it. I'm going to have to just trump block with that. So that is not ideal. But it gives me another turn here. Oops. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I may have may have forgot what step it was. I did not realize that was. Do I want to declare blockers? Nah. I thought I was just letting them go into combat, and then I was going to declare blockers. Oops. Well, misjudged the steps. Missed a draw step there. Might have drawn a blue source and then put a Nissa out, I guess. Even if we do draw the blue source there, we can't ultimate Nissa. And even if we do ultimate Nissa, Nissa only makes lands creatures for one turn. So we can't even block if we ultimate Nissa. So if we do hit the blue source, then we play a Nissa and try to draw a card off the top. So we play Nissa for green, blue, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to get a 4-mana or less card off the top. We were probably dead either way, but that's a pretty funny misclick to end the draft. Well, really sad to see the Gruul Friends go 1 and 3, but I guess it's pretty flavorful with the way that with that ended up. That whole plot line ended up with War of the Spark, just kind of retconning Chandra and Nissa's byness out of existence. I remember that was a really awkward part of the storyline that got a lot of people upset because Gruul Friends was the best. Gruul Friends is where it's at. Gruul Friends, if you don't know, that's just the name for the shipping of Chandra and Nissa, because it was pretty clear in the storyline early on that they had some feelings for each other. So that was the whole cute kind of flavor of the deck that I was going for there, having opened up those cards. Well, 1 and 3, can't win them all. Have a great record in the format overall. We got that 7-win run, the 5-win run. Great start to the format. We got to get some losses somewhere. And we opened up fantastic cards to add to the collection in that draft regardless. Got a Chandra, a Nissa, a Majestic Miriarch. So the 3 mythic deck there. But the 3 mythic deck there definitely coming in to show us all, as always, that drafts are not all about just the luck of the draw, bomb rares. It is a lot about drafting a powerful, cohesive deck, and I certainly may have fumbled a bit in that one. So 1 and 3 it is for the triple mythic deck. Anyways, that is going to end today's draft. I hope you all enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed drafting, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can let the YouTube algorithm know by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And thank you all for watching. I will be back again very soon for some more Magic Arena. I believe we have Kaladesh Remastered coming the 15th, so that will probably be the next video, the next draft format for sure. So I will see you all then.